Hello, welcome to Homeschool-Life. My name is Bobby, and in this video we're going to be looking at the accounts receivable listing. To do this, we need to be logged into the admin website, and from the admin homepage we need to access accounting. We can do that in one of two ways. We can click here, or we can click here. Once we access accounting, we will be on the accounts receivable listing. As you can see, this is a list of all families. You'll notice that some of the families are italicized. And the reason for that is those that are italicized with a single asterisk are families that are awaiting approval. In other words, they have filled out the membership application in the registration process and they have not yet been approved. Other families that are shown here, for example, this family, have a double asterisk. Those families are in a parked status. If you're not familiar with the parked status, that is a status that you can set up yourself for families that you want to give them access to the site to either check their invoices that are open and outstanding and perhaps to make a payment or to update their profile, but they cannot access anything else on the site. This is sometimes used for families who have past due invoices that you don't want to give them access until those invoices are paid. Okay, there's several things that you can do from this accounts receivable listing. It's more than just a listing. One of the first things that you can do from here is actually take a look at one of your member profiles. Let's take a look at the Brenner family, for example. To do that, we just click on the name of the family, and immediately the family profile will come up. We can scroll down and see all of the different fields that they fill in when they register. If there's anything in here that you would like to update, you can do so here. And when you're finished, you would click on Update Family. To go back to my accounts receivable listing, I can use my back function and I'm back on the accounts receivable listing. Another thing that you can do from this listing, which is really beneficial, is you can have a quick glance at the status of all of your members. There are two particular columns here that are helpful in this regard. The first is called the past due column, which of course is these numbers here. And the second is called the balance column. Obviously, the balance column just shows you the overall balance for each of these families, and the past due column shows you invoices that are past due, haven't been paid by the date you established as the due date. You'll notice that those amounts are in red, and that is because it helps them to stand out, and you can quickly at a glance see which of your families have past due amounts and what those amounts are. Another thing that you can do from the accounts receivable listing is you can take a look at any specific family's statement of account. Let's do that here by clicking on this $sign for the Brenner family. When we do that, we're taken to this particular screen that shows the outstanding balances for this family. We currently have an outstanding balance of $330. And if you want to look at specific invoice and payment details, you would click on this tab here. And this is where a lot of people like to do some of their work with the accounting system, because you can clearly see the entire history of any given family. You can change your fiscal year so that you look at just the current fiscal year, or if you want to see all of the history of this family, you can of course click on the all fiscal year filter and it will bring up all of the records. But this is a great place to see an entire history for a family. I like to work from here and add invoices and payments right from this listing because I can actually see everything that's happened on this account for this particular family. Returning now to the accounts receivable listing, the next thing that we can do from this listing is actually print a copy of any particular family's statement of account. And we do that by clicking on the printer icon next to any particular family name. So again, we'll pick the Brenner family here. We click on the print icon and it brings up the statement of account in a printable format. Of course, to print from here, you might right click on your mouse, which gives you the option to print, or you might print here from this tab here Either way would work. I'm going to close that down now. And the other thing that you can do, which is really interesting and very helpful, is sometimes you may just want to email a particular family their statement of account. You can do that here by just clicking on this email icon. And finally, another interesting thing from the accounts receivable listing, you'll notice that there is a section for notes. All of these little icons are in yellow. Well, this one's in green. The reason that it's in green is because there is actually a note that has been keyed in for this family. If we click on that little green icon, we'll see that the admin has entered the note, $20 past due will be paid on 8/15/20. These notes are only seen by an admin user. These are not seen by the family, but they can be helpful. If you want to make notes, you may have a lot of different payment notes that you're keeping track of, and if you can enter those for each particular family, sometimes it's a good thing. And looking quickly down this list, you can see by the green indicator here that there is something entered for this family. There are also other places within the site that these notes show up. One of those places is in the family profile. If I click on this member and I scroll down, you'll be able to see that that note is entered right here on the family profile. Again, this is something that will be seen only by an admin user. If the member goes in and looks at their own family profile, they're not going to see that note. So if we go back out to our accounts receivable listing, there are two other places where these notes will show up, and one of them is under Users, Families, Manage. When we go there, you can see here that the note for this family, for the Hansen family, is listed here on the Manage listing for the Managed families. And one other place that you can find those notes is in the Edit Info. And right now this needs to be expanded, and you can see here that there's a note for this family, which I can make it bigger so I can see what it says. Returning to the accounts receivable listing one more time. There are a few other functions that you can accomplish from the accounts receivable listing. You can add an invoice, a payment, or an adjustment from this listing. To do that, you would simply click on the appropriate icon. In this case, we'll click on Add an Invoice. From here, we would have to select the particular family that we want to create the invoice for. Many people prefer to create invoices while on the member invoice and payment detail, because when you do that, the family member is already selected. But you can certainly add a new invoice, payment, or adjustment from the accounts receivable listing if you wish to do so. Another thing that is sometimes helpful on the accounts receivable listing is to add a filter. For example, let's say we want to know which of our families owe us more than $100. We can click on the filter icon here. We can say balance due is greater than and key in $100. Apply the filter. And the listing is now showing us only families who owe us more than $100. The rest of those families have been filtered out. When we're finished with a particular filter, we can click here to remove the filter and return the original listing. There's another thing we might want to do. Perhaps we want to look at just those families who are in a parked status. You can click on the filters icon, family status equals parked, and apply the filter, and the listing appears with only those families that are parked families showing. Again, to clear those filters, I click on Remove Filters, and the entire listing reappears. Another thing we can do that's very helpful is we can print a list of the entire accounts receivable listing by clicking on that little printer icon. And I have this in landscape mode so that we can see the whole thing, but this just lists your families. It lists your past due amounts and your balance. And this is just a quick reference if you would want to either print it out to a PDF file or to your printer to have a quick a way to look at it. And the final thing that I want to show you is that you can download an entire copy of the accounts receivable listing into Excel. And this can be very helpful because once it's in Excel, we can expand the columns and you can see that it's sorted alphabetically by family last name, but within each family last name, for example, this Brenner family, this is sorted by the accounts within the system. And in this co-op, this particular group has their teachers each with their own account. So I can quickly look at the Brenner's family's accounting and I can determine that in the cash only account, they had one invoice, or they had an invoice that totaled $40. It was adjusted, I think it was probably from a cancellation, and that they currently do not owe anything in that account. But if you look down here at the Mindy Larson teacher account, we can see that there have been $630 total worth of invoices. There have been no credits or adjustments. There are none of them past due, but $300 has already been paid, leaving a balance of $330. So this listing can be very helpful. Once you get it into Excel, you can sort it by the accounting category. You could sort it by account. You could sort it high to low in terms of what still balances due. You could also color code it for certain teacher accounts. So the sky's the limit as far as what you can do once you download the accounts receivable listing into Excel. I almost forgot to mention that if you want to send a statement of account to all of your members at the same time, you can do so by clicking on this icon here. If you still have questions, please feel free to visit the Help Center by clicking on Help, and here you will find many videos and tutorials available. Or if you'd like to have some one-on-one help, access your admin homepage in the technical support box at the top, create a ticket, and we will get back with you and help you to determine the answer to your question. This concludes our video on the accounts receivable listing. Thanks for watching.